This is a Film Stories original podcast.
Ho, 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 we made this.
Welcome to the Starlight Ballroom. Hey!
Hello and welcome to Shipwrecked and Comatose, the podcast about Red Dwarf here on the We Made This podcast network. My name's Mark Adams and I am your host with one of our infamous specials in between our coverage of the main TV show Red Dwarf. We thought that before we went crazy with our Christmas special, you might like something else in December too, and we thought it'd be nice to share this curiosity with you. Quite a while ago, our friend Max over at We Played This, which was a podcast about video games and people's experience of video games, was interested in potentially launching another podcast. And he asked Colin and myself to come on as kind of like a Shipwrecked and Comatose versus pilot episode. It's a foodie podcast where two people pick a menu and fight it out for whose is best. And unfortunately, Max decided not to pick it up, and they have moved on to other things. But this episode was just a lot of fun for both Colin and me, as well as for Max. And it just seems fun, considering we covered Can't Smeg, Won't Smeg a while ago, to almost have us doing something a little bit similar. So yeah, if you like food, and you like listening to Colin and me bicker, then this might be the episode for you. So I'm going to hand over to Past Max, and we ate this.
Hello and welcome to We Ate This, the brand new show on the We Made This network. And it's all about food. I'm your host, Tim Henton. Hello, I'm a massive foodie and I had this idea for this new podcast where I'm going to build the greatest restaurant menu that there has ever been. But I'm going to need lots of help from some friends and various special guests to put my menu together. So every episode we're going to have two guests who are going to come on and tell us what they think should go on a restaurant's best menu ever. So today we've got a pair of guests who they should know each other pretty well because they're both from the same show. We have Colin Jackson Brown and Mark Adams from the show Shipwrecked and Comatose. Hello, boys.
Hello.
Hiya.
How are you both doing?
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, I'm alright. I like food, so as soon as you said, do you want to come on a podcast about food? I was like, well, I like food, and I like podcasting. Alright.
Well, yeah, okay then. Well, here we go. Let's get straight into it. Yeah, Colin, what is your relationship with food?
Oh, well, I mean, I've been eating it all my life. Pretty much every day.
Do you consider yourself a foodie?
I think some foodie purists would argue if I did. But yeah.
Okay.
I like a wide variety of things as long as it doesn't have courgettes in it. Because courgettes are evil.
I'm with you on that one. Courgettes are the worst.
We've all agreed courgettes can fuck right
Fucking
off.
devil's cucumber.
My dad is obsessed with, he used to grow courgettes, and his favourite thing to make ever was ratatouille, but like really soggy, slimy ratatouille that he used to make every fucking week, and it was disgusting.
Yeah, not
So
into
yeah,
that.
I agree with you on that.
I dig a lot of, Michelin-starred restaurants. I like street food. I like, a kebab.
So you like a bit of everything then?
Well, mostly, yeah.
Have you ever been to any Michelin-starred
I have.
joints before?
I have.
Oh, cool. Where have you been?
There is Adams and in Birmingham, which is utterly fantastic. Was one of, I think it was like in the top 3 in Europe a few years ago. on
wow.
TripAdvisor. We've been there a couple of times. And there's a place called Carter's of Moseley, also in Birmingham, that's really good. And
Nice.
yeah. And went to an absolutely amazing sushi place in Las Vegas that I think was Michelin starred as well, but I can't remember the name of it. We just found it when we were lost.
Michelin starred sushi.
I could be wrong. It was Japanese restaurant. We didn't actually have any sushi while we were there.
Yeah.
I had Kobe beef.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
How would you describe it? Because I've never actually tried it.
It was really nice. I'd have liked a lot more of it.
Yeah.
It was really small portions, but it was one of those. We were on me and my wife on our honeymoon at the time, and we'd got lost in Las Vegas trying to find the fountain thingies. Had a bit of a tantrum because I couldn't get it. We wanted to go to the Bellagio buffet restaurant and found out that there was a 3-hour wait to get in, and I'd been planning this for months and months and months, and I got in a bit of a bad mood. And then we found this place and went, oh, I've got Kobe beef, I'm going to go in there. It's our honeymoon, we don't get to do that very
How the
often.
bloody hell did you miss the fountains in Las Vegas? It's on the fucking strip.
Yeah, but we were inside, and we couldn't find the fucking way out. But then it was brilliant because we ate in this restaurant, and then we asked them for directions afterwards, and they went, we can go and sit on our balcony, and the balcony was on the fountain, and we'd been eating inside the other side of a wall from it the entire time.
You know how in the Pokemon games that every NPC, all they ever want to talk to you about is Pokemon? I feel like, Colin, you are an NPC for a Las Vegas-themed video game. Because every single time I have you on a podcast, it always goes straight to your one trip to Las Vegas.
It's the only interesting holiday I've ever done. I did a lot of cool things there. And I've not run out of things to say about it yet, so it'll happen on a few more podcasts, I'm sure.
I'm worried about that too, because I've talked about food quite a lot on Don't Say the C Word, which was my kind of lockdown podcast, with you, Tim, as well as with other people.
Yeah.
And I feel like I might repeat myself a bit. Oh well, don't care.
Okay, well that's fine, different show, isn't it? So yeah, hello Mark, how are you doing?
Oh, yeah. I'm alright. I'm actually genuinely really excited about this show, because I do like to talk about food. And
Me
my partner doesn't. He's not a foodie at all. Like, he'll have a cheese sandwich every day for the rest of his fucking life.
Nah, I can't relate to that, I'm afraid. So
he's got like 3 sandwiches he ever buys. He's got one from Marks and Sparks, one from Tesco, one from somewhere else. If he can't have the one he likes, he gets grumpy.
You know you can make sandwiches at home as well.
He doesn't know that. I do.
So what would you say about your relationship with food? I'm gathering you're a foodie as well.
I bloody love food. I feel like I just want to try all of the food from all of the countries. And I've always kind of flippantly said that food is the way to solve racism. Get a racist, right, and put a dead good meal from whatever country the people are from that you don't like. Put that in front of him, and that'll solve his racism because food is that good. I realise that's flippant, but
I disagree because I hold that food advertising is the very last bastion of acceptable racism.
You are right.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't remember if I meant to mention it on your podcast. I can't remember if I ever did, Mark. But my favourite example is the Dolmio adverts, where they've got puppets of stereotypical Italian people. So it kind of, the fact that they're puppets and not just actors kind of straight away makes it kind of like this mysterious, fanciful thing, but it's just Italian people.
It's because they refuse to employ actual Italian people, that's why. They won't employ them.
Exactly, yeah. And then
to be
there's
fair,
the...
fuck Dolmio anyway, because
I agree.
A jar that you put on meat, cooked properly.
Exactly, I agree with you on that. But the most recent advert that I'd seen, not that I watch much real telly anymore, but in that advert, the mafia turn up and they all have their violin cases, which obviously connotations that they're going to shoot some people up with some Tommy guns. Then they open it up and inside is a giant pepper grinder. And honestly, I don't understand why the last bastion of acceptable racism is food advertising.
I'm going to circumnavigate that and say I really want a giant pepper grinder.
Oh yeah, me too. But I wouldn't carry it around in my violin case.
But no, sorry, we got distracted. I love food. I want to try all the food from all the countries. Whenever there's like a new restaurant from a different country on Just Eat, I'm like, oh, can we try that? No, we're having pizza. Drives me crazy. Love him though. He's nice to the cat.
Living in Grimsby at the moment, I literally just have the choice of Indian, Chinese, or pizza. Unfortunately, I'm not living anywhere multicultural enough to have anything beyond those three.
Oh, there's
loads of good ones in Manchester. That's where I live. Libyan cuisine is very nice. Ethiopian cuisine, get it in me.
Yeah,
there's just so many good restaurants in Manchester.
There's a really good Lebanese one on Just Eat by us. So yeah, that's good. Lots of hummus.
I like hummus. But I have recently turned vegetarian. It's without wishing to be a whiny fucking hippie. It was a ethical decision, as I kind of blah 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 humanist blah blah blah. It's not very nice, is it? Probably shouldn't eat them anymore because I like animals. Blah 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 blah. Doesn't mean that I don't really fucking like the taste of chicken.
Yeah, I was just experimenting with going vegan just before lockdown started, and then because of lockdown, and I was at a point where my only pleasure in life was food, and also my dad was going and doing our shopping for us. So those two things, I kind of was like, I don't trust him to buy me vegan stuff or to know what he's doing. So yeah, we went straight back onto meat full time. But now that I'm back to doing my own shopping, I am trying to not go fully vegan, but just being a bit more flexible and trying to cook a few more meals that aren't meat-based. But I just love meat.
I'm never going to be a kind of whiny hippie veggie. I'm just not. That's not me. But I saw my parents for the first time in 6 months a couple of weeks ago. And my mum said, I'll bring a picnic. Mum, remember I'm vegetarian now. Oh, I forget. She gave me a ham and cheese sandwich, crushed it. And I was like, do you know what? This nice 72-year-old lady, I'm not going to fuck with my mum. I'll just have the ham and cheese sandwich. I'm not going to be that kind of a veggie. And you know what? I was like, is this going to make me a carnivore all over again? No, I didn't. I just had ham and cheese sandwich.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what has happened. I've put on a fucking stone since I've turned.
Really?
I've split.
I thought you were going to say just from that sandwich.
Trousers. No, not from that sandwich. But no, I put on a suit I hadn't put on for a few months. I split the fucking zip.
Yikes.
Maybe I should go back to eating bacon to slim myself down. What the fuck happened? I know exactly what happens. It's cheese.
Yeah, plenty of cheese.
Just
love cheese.
Endless cheese.
Right, so how this is going to go down? Mark and Colin are going to give all of you listeners and me an idea of what they think would go in the world's best menu. They can have one starter, one main course, and one dessert. But here's the catch. Only one of their meals is going to go into my perfect menu. And I am the sole decider of which meal I'm going to pick. There's not going to be a winner for starter. There's not a winner for main courses. Not a winner for dessert. Their full meal will be going into my menu. So this is going to be a very competitive game, and I'm really excited to see how dirty these two are going to play, because I'm expecting naughty things from the pair of you. We're going to start with the starter, and for this round, I think our mate Colin is going to go first. So, Colin, if you had the opportunity to put one starter in the best menu you've ever written, what would you put?
I reckon good starter. Soup's a nice classic starter. So, the best soup I've ever had in the entire universe was seafood chowder, which I had in San Francisco, and then I came home and learned how to make it. and it's amazing.
Nice.
So yeah, chowder.
What do you put in your chowder?
So prawns, squid, haddock, salmon, bacon, potatoes, cream, cayenne pepper, and then you need some like proper nice crusty bread to dip into it, like fresh, proper, really nice fresh bread. If it wasn't a starter, serve it in a bread bowl, but obviously that might be a little bit too much for a starter. Unless you make individual sized small bread bowls, but then you wouldn't have enough chowder. I was going to say just like one bread bun
like with some chowder in
bread
it.
roll, yeah.
So yes, San Fran, what was that like for food?
We weren't there long enough, but utterly amazing. I had a mission burrito, which was really good. We went and found a really nice dim sum place in the Chinatown there. And then there was a really good seafood chowder that it wasn't an amazing restaurant because it was like the nearest one where we were waiting for the ferry to go to Alcatraz, but it was still really good. I imagine there's probably much better places, but that was still good enough on its own as it is. One day,
it's quite
I'll go.
Do you know what? I've never actually made chowder. It's quite a rich sauce, isn't it? It's got cream in and things like that.
It's really creamy. And when I make it, I stick loads of cayenne pepper in it, so it's nice and spicy as well.
Oh, Colin, can you make all of your choices that you for this?
I've decided to limit myself
Me too.
to stuff I can make, because otherwise you could just be like, so the starter will be foie gras, which I'm not even sure what that is.
I can tell you what it is. It's not pleasant.
No, it's like overfed chicken livers or something. I think. I could be completely wrong.
It's goose, and they do something horrible with corn in their neck. It's really vile.
Yeah.
Lovely. Well, I did say, didn't I, beforehand, like it doesn't have to be food that you personally can make. It can be a dish that you've had elsewhere, like you've said, like things that you've tried elsewhere. But it could be, something that your mum made you once a million years ago when you were a kid. Yeah. It's literally any meal that you fancy.
It is not going to be anything my mum made me.
No, me neither. I'm glad that
it's all right.
I'm glad that we've both gone for stuff we can make.
Yeah,
that at least makes it fair.
Yeah.
Okay, so what can you make for me for starter then, Mark?
Well, first of all, I didn't know that it had to be exactly a starter, a main course, and a dessert. So I have also kind of like I've bought along like an appetizer that you'd be greeted with when you arrived at my home.
Well, here we go, Mark.
Like come down with me.
In the case of a tie, we'll bring appetizers in. How does that sound? So
I make a really lovely deviled egg.
All right, okay.
Which, if you don't know what it is, you basically get a boiled egg and you slice it in half and you pull out the yolk. You then mash that up with mustard and paprika and Tabasco and a bit of mayo. Then you spoon it back into the halves of the egg and you serve it as so the egg itself and the little hole where the yolk used to be is like a little dish for the new mixture that you put back in.
Now you see, I've never actually eaten a deviled egg, but
mate, they're well good.
You know what? I have all of those things at home, so I think tomorrow for my lunch I might have to make myself some deviled eggs because anytime I hear about them, they sound delicious, but I've just never been anywhere that served them. So.
And also, you always have bread on the table in a restaurant.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Have you ever been to like an Italian restaurant where they give you like a herby focaccia?
Oh, yeah.
And then they give you olive oil and balsamic vinegar?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. That's the best. That is what you want for your bread. Fucking bread roll. That's what you want.
So I wasn't going to bring bread into it as a course, but I just want to bring up a bread that I've had last year for my mum and dad's 40th wedding anniversary. We went to, there's a restaurant in Grimsby called Millfields, and the restaurant there, my dad actually plays squash there a lot, so he's a member, so we've had loads of meals there, but they'd had a new chef since I'd last been there, and he'd kind of brought all of the food really up a notch. And he'd made for everybody this Marmite flavoured bread. It was like a warm, crusty, sort of hearty bread, but really strong kind of rich flavour of Marmite.
That sounds amazing.
That does sound good.
I'm one of these people that thinks there's people that love Marmite, there's people that hate Marmite. I'm kind of in the middle. I'm one of those rare people that apparently doesn't exist. Maybe that's the bisexual in me because they don't exist either.
If you hadn't made that gag, I would have done. So I'm glad you did.
It's one of those flavours that works so well in cooking, even if you don't like it on its own. And just with that, and it was served warm, but crusty on the outside, and it was so rich, and then obviously adding way too much butter on it like you always do at a restaurant. It was honestly the best bread I've ever had, and I just think about it at least once a week, that bread.
I really like bread as well, and I think there is like the Marmite thing. There's people who like their bread to be boring bread, or there's people who like bread with shit in. You can put what. Like I got this jalapeno bread from the co-op the other day.
That sounds good.
Holy sweet mother of all things sacred! It was fit as fuck.
There's so many things that I don't like normally that when you put them in bread, I just elevate it to the next level. Olives in bread. I don't really like olives normally, but when you stick them in some rustic loaves, oh my god!
Rustic's a good word to describe the kind of bread I like.
Yeah, as long as a bread says rustic somewhere in its description, I'm going to like it.
So welcome to We Ate Bread, the new podcast on...
We baked this, the next spin-off.
Well, with the two of us doing a Red Dwarf podcast, this is kind of like Talkie Toaster invading, isn't it?
Oh, man,
so
I want to know what...
If we're going to talk about bread, those things, right, that they're round and they've got lots of little holes in, and you put them in the toaster. What do you two call those? Because we're all from different parts
here we
of the
go.
country.
Crumpets.
It's a crumpet, mate. Are you going to say pikelet?
I am going to say pikelet.
Is that a Manchester
country in it?
Oh no, that was what you called in Wolverhampton. Yeah, fair enough.
I'm from Wolverhampton, but I've lived in Manchester, so I'm a weird ass hybrid. Shouldn't be allowed.
When I used to go to music festivals back in the day, when we used to go to Wilderness down in Oxfordshire, they always had a stall called Strumpets with Crumpets, and all they sold was handmade crumpets with various different toppings on. They did this amazing one, which was a lemon cheesecake. So it was one toasted crumpet, and then on the top you smother it with Philadelphia cream cheese, then lemon curd, and then crumbled up ginger nuts on the top.
I've never had a sweet crumpet, but that sounds amazing. I've only ever had them with Marmite or cheese.
Well, I've only ever had sweet crumpets. I don't know if that's like a Grimsby thing, but we only ever ate them sweet when I was a kid.
To be honest, I almost always just have them with butter.
Yeah, butter and a bit of jam. But yeah, that obviously, once I'd had that, it was a revelation, because these are all things that you can just have in the cupboard at home and just make your own. And I often do.
I'm going to make that.
We got distracted, didn't we?
Yeah, we haven't even got to Mark's starter yet. Come on then, Mark. What's your starter?
Well, Colin did mention that we're both fans of Red Dwarf. And it wasn't because I'm a fan of Red Dwarf. It's because I can make it and it's dead good. I make a good spicy gazpacho. It's basically gazpacho with some cayenne pepper in it.
All right. So this is another starter that I've never had before. So what would you put in? Because obviously it's basically cold veggies, isn't it? So what goes in your gazpacho?
Your basic gazpacho is tomatoes, maybe a red pepper, definitely cucumber, garlic, probably some shallots, and some white wine vinegar, all kind of just basically bunged into a blender and then sieved a couple of times. And then just put in the fridge. But for me, the important bit is adding some cayenne pepper to make it spicy, like a spicy tomato soup. And also the croutons, because soup without croutons, you got to have croutons. And my croutons, I make them from scratch. It's just get a slice of white bread, no fucking crusts, and kind of cut it into squares, and then make like a herby and garlic butter by just putting some butter in a pot, mixing some herbs and garlic in, and then using that instead of the oil in the pan, and then just chuck in your it's basically fried bread but with garlic and herbs, and then just in little squares, and then you stick those on top, and you've got your like spicy gazpacho with garlic and herb fried croutons. That would be my starter.
Fair dues. Okay, so double soup for starters then.
It's a classic.
So I'm not going to go into who's winning just yet, because now that both of you have had a chance to describe your dish, I'm going to let you argue your cases against each other. So I'm throwing this open to the pair of you. You both have the floor at once to argue why I should pick your dish.
Well, I think you should pick both, to be honest with you, because it sounds quite nice. I mean,
No,
like seafood
Mark.
chowder.
Look,
I'm sorry.
I purposely asked the pair of you to come on this show to be argumentative and to make this a good pilot. So I'll have
we always agree on
none of your
Shipwrecked
bullshit
and Comatose as
pacifism.
well.
Just lay into him, even if you don't feel it.
Basically, you should go with mine.
You go first.
Because seafood chowder is amazing. It's got king prawns in it. It's got cream in it. It's got cayenne pepper. It's got awesome bread with it. Unless it's November the 25th, because that is the only day of the year that you should have gazpacho soup, because that's gazpacho soup day. But the rest of the year...
I'm guessing that's a Red Dwarf thing.
It is.
It is a Red Dwarf reference.
It's the only thing I know about gazpacho soup.
All right, Mark.
I would argue to counter that I do feel like something like gazpacho soup is a more universally welcome and well-known, less polarising dish than a seafood chowder, because there's a lot of folk out there that don't like seafood. Whereas everybody
that's a good point.
Tomatoes.
Yeah, but they're pricks.
What, tomatoes are pricks, or people that don't like seafood?
People that don't like seafood.
I like seafood, or I did before, veggie. And it's not veggie. Fuck that. I can't have it, so no one can.
What's your favourite seafood element to your dish then, Colin?
Definitely the prawns. Yeah.
Yeah,
and they've got to be king prawns, so they're nice and meaty. Sorry, Mark.
I like meat, I just won't eat it.
Okay, right. So before we move on...
My croutons were cool. My croutons were really, really cool.
I like the way you've
put a lot of thought into my fucking croutons. Pick me.
I like the fact that I said we weren't going to have a bread course, and the pair of you have sneakily managed to get bread into your starters.
There was no sneaky. We just both like bread.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. So the one comment I'm going to give before we move on to main courses is, I don't really like soup.
Fair.
So, yeah, I just feel like, for me, it always sits really weird. I can feel it sloshing around in my stomach when I've eaten it, and it always makes me feel a bit weird. So
focus on the croutons. Focus on the deviled eggs. I'm on to a winner.
Right, let's go to the next course. Okay, so Colin got to go first on the starters, so it's only fair that Mark gets to introduce his main course first.
So the main course was the one that I actually struggled on the most, I'll be honest there. Like I say, I wanted to make sure that it was something that I could cook myself. And I know what my best dish is, but it's a bit basic. But fuck it, I'm going to do that anyway. It's basically a special fried rice. I learnt the recipe from Ken On when I was like 18, so...
What, personally?
20... No, from his bloody recipe book. I'd love to meet Ken Hom. I'd get super starstruck if I met Ken Hom. I've had his wok since I was a kid. I just like... So, the trick with the special fried rice that I make is that, again, this is what I stole from Ken Hom. You use your wok, get it nice and hot, blah, 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 oil, and you just cook an omelette in your wok, then put it to one side and chop it up to pieces. So none of this scrambling or anything, and none of this cooking it in the rice itself. You do that separate and you put it to one side. Prior to that, you would need to have some completely cold rice. So you boil your rice a few hours before, chuck it in the fridge. You need completely cold rice for your fried rice recipe here. And if you're being really fancy, use groundnut oil instead of vegetable oil because that gives it more of a Chinesey feel. And then basically you wang in whatever you've got.
Yeah.
You just stir fry whatever the fuck you've got. So, you got a tin of peas, chuck it in. You got a tin of sweet corn, chuck it in. You got some leftover chicken, chuck it in. You got some bean sprouts, bloody hell, that's authentic, chuck it in. But
what's the most out there thing that you've added to your special fried rice?
Well, no, now you bloody hell. Chicken tikka, I think, probably.
Oh, sacrilege!
I know.
Wait till you hear
Does that class as Pan-Asian cuisine?
I know. But so, I mean, if you were doing it like seriously as a proper meal, you'd get some proper nice Chinese food. Instead of leftovers, chuck in some bamboo shoots, some water chestnuts, some mange tout, etc. So get some proper Chinese style veg. And I've also recently found, I would have used chicken, but I've also recently found that the Co-op's fake chicken is the best fake chicken.
All
and
right.
the most important thing about it is that, veggie food. You put it in your mouth and it feels wrong. The consistency is what gives it away more than the taste.
Yeah.
Co-op chicken feels like chicken in your mouth. Fucking
Cool.
game changer. So I chuck some of that in, and it like browns like chicken. It's fucking magic. So I chuck some of that in, and some proper, rather than just leftovers, I chuck in some like deliberately Chinesey type veg, some like sliced peppers and whatever, and you just stir fry it all up. Then you chuck your egg back in once you've chopped it up. You chuck your egg in. You chuck your rice in. And then bung in a generous amount of soy, and then just mix it and fry it. And it is just so simple, but really, really, really good.
My dad used to make really nice Chinese food when I was a kid in the 90s, and his speciality was his egg fried rice. And but the thing is, he used to make it look like such hard work that I've only recently, since lockdown actually, started making my own fried rice because I realised how piss easy it was. Because he used to do all sorts of he would cook it, then he would proper squeeze all the liquid out of it. He would then put it in the oven to bake the rice first so it was nice and dry before then frying it. And what he really liked about it, and it was really kind of showed how much work he'd done, was that every single grain of rice would be separated by the time it was cooked. There was no glutinous side to it at all. But fried rice kind of needs that kind of squidge to it, I think, because
Well, right, here's the thing, and no disrespect to your dad and no disrespect to anybody else, but I will take umbrage with the fact that you said that it's easy. Anybody can cook egg fried rice, but not everybody can cook egg fried rice well. And I did struggle for what to have as a side dish with it. And I did mull over the idea of a Caesar salad just because I like Caesar salad, but that felt wrong. Because, as much as I like mixing me country's food, that did feel wrong. And I also thought about maybe having a nice bao on the side. I used to have a lot of char siu bao, but now there's one that's got sweet beans in it, and I'm not going to pronounce it properly, but it's something like dao sha bao, but it's just sweet beans instead of the char siu. But I can't make that, so that would be cheating.
Yeah. Bao buns are amazing.
They're bloody lovely, aren't they?
Yeah.
And so I thought I'd just chuck a bit of crispy seaweed and some prawn toast, because I like both of those.
Prawn toast ain't vegan.
And I'm not vegan. Maybe I'm pescatarian for the sake of this. Or I'll get some fake prawns or something. I have made prawn toast in the past, so I can do it.
Can you get fake prawns?
That was on MasterChef this year.
Can you?
Can you get fake prawns?
Don't know.
I don't know how they would flavour that.
Prawn flat. Oh,
Well,
no,
to be
wait.
fair, Skips didn't have any fucking prawn in it. Right, all right, drop the fucking prawn toast. I'll just have some crispy seaweed.
No, I'm putting prawn toast on there because I like
And crispy seaweed.
because I like prawn toast, so that's on the.
Then I think you shouldn't put
okay.
the prawn toast on there.
Yeah. All right then, Colin. How would you go when it comes to main courses then?
Right. You know all that bit you were just saying about mixing countries up too much? It's about to happen. So I've invented this thing called the meal.
The meal. Right.
The meal. Basically, it's probably coming up to 20 years ago now. I was, I think my parents had gone away and I was sitting there going, what am I going to make for me dinner? Just looking at all the stuff that we had. And I was listening to, I think I was listening to Dr. John and Fela Kuti and a load of like funk and stuff like that. I was like, well, I don't really know what gumbo is, but I'm going to make what I think gumbo might be. It's nothing like gumbo. It has nothing to do with it at all. This is just what I imagine that gumbo would be. So I knew gumbo was a bit Cajun, so it got some Cajun spices in it. So it's king prawns again, because I love king prawns. King prawns and chicken cooked in Cajun spices with some sliced up peppers in there, sometimes some mushrooms, and you cook it all in a wok, so you sort of stir fry it, and then after a little bit, put some straight to wok noodles in, so they're already soft. So so far you've got like Cajun Chinese for the noodles, and then put some feta cheese in, and you put an entire block of feta cheese chopped up really, really small little bits. And you have to stir it loads at exactly the right heat. And it sort of melts. Feta cheese doesn't melt that easily, but it just sort of coats everything in feta cheese. So it's this prawns, chicken, noodles, peppers, and feta cheese in Cajun spices. And then you put it into, you cut a toasted pita bread in half, and you stuff the pita bread, and you eat it in that. Sometimes with some sweet chili sauce goes quite nice with it. But yeah, that's the meal. And it looks rubbish. It sounds completely weird, but it tastes fucking amazing.
All right,
So,
okay.
Again, so I mean, I know we've made quite a lot of Red Dwarf references, but there's an episode of Red Dwarf where Rimmer has been drunk, and the Lister suggests that he has
A fried egg chili chutney sandwich.
Fried egg and chili chutney sandwich, that's right. And it sounds wrong, but it tastes right. And despite the fact I'm in competition with this man, I am prepared to believe that the meal, because it's got lots of things I like in it, I'm prepared to believe that it actually fucking works.
When I used to work in a spice shop, one of the owners, we used to do an absolutely gorgeous spice blend for making a madras, which worked really well as a keema, which is when you use minced meat.
Yeah.
And one of the owners used to say, like, because obviously whenever customers used to come in and ask what to do with their leftovers, one of the owners used to say the best thing you can do with it the next day is heat it up, slap it on a slice of toast with a fried egg on the top. And I was just like, it's got that similar vibe of sort of, this, some people would consider it sacrilege, but actually it's really fucking gorgeous. Like, it's one of the best, especially like, if you've had a few beers with your curry the night before, it's the absolute
I don't even drink and I still came up with it.
Okay, so let's open this up for argument. Who, why should I pick your meals?
Because it's the meal. They're in the name.
What? Because a 12-year-old came up with a stupid name.
I was 18.
I
was 18.
All right, 18. All right. So a teenager came up with a stupid name that he thought was cool. He should pick your choice. Bollocks.
When lockdown's over, I'm making it for you guys.
I want it. I'm just saying that's a shit reason.
Yeah.
No, I think that mine is a timeless classic. and I put some thought into the side dishes.
Whereas I've perfected mine over the decades.
I've perfected mine.
Yeah, but
I've adapted mine for hippies as well.
I look like a lot more like a hippie when I
In
made
fact,
it.
your whole meal just isn't inclusive, Colin.
It's inclusive to people that like all of the different things that are in it.
So you?
Yeah, that's who I made it for.
Look, by the time we've got the full menu for my restaurant, it doesn't matter if there are some meals that are not inclusive, because I'm sure there will be some vegetarian and vegan options. Right? Wink, wink.
There's one way to make sure, and that's to pick me first on the first episode. Then you know you're being inclusive.
Okay, right. So that's the main course out of the way. So last course here, it's time for the desserts. And just to let you know, this could be the clincher, because I am a dessert guy. I have a massive sweet tooth. If you get this wrong, it could be all over for anybody. So we'll go back again to Colin. No pressure. What dessert are you picking?
Right, hopefully it doesn't clash with what Mark's chosen, because I've actually changed my mind since I told him the other day what I was going to do. Because I needed to go with something that I could actually make myself. So it's salted caramel apple crumble. So it's like an apple crumble, but with bits of like salted caramel sort of sauce within the apple, all sort of like flowing through it and that. And
Okay.
bits of fudge in there as well, I reckon. That'd be awesome.
Okay. And what are you serving with it? What are my options? You can have more than one option to go with it if you want.
So personally, I would always choose ice cream with it. I know that some people like custard or cream, so you can have those if you're a fucking heathen. Personally, I don't like either of them, so I'm going to go with ice cream. But those options are there. See, I'm inclusive.
I am, not giving away whose dessert I'm picking or anything, but with a hot dessert, I think you have to have a cold side.
That's my thoughts, yeah.
The amount of times where I've had a lovely meal and then just like burnt my mouth on the molten lava that is crumble and custard. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if you've ever gone for it, Colin, because I had a friend that thought I was mad until I suggested it, but just have cold custard as well.
I don't like custard, so...
but
I do know people that do, so I will suggest it. See?
Yeah, I would never have hot custard. Well, I suppose really I don't ever have hot custard ever.
My wife always argues with the fact that I say I don't like custard by saying basically ice cream is frozen custard.
Well, yeah,
I'm not sure if it is, because I like
I
ice cream.
Pretty close.
No, I don't think it is, but she knows way more about food than I do. So yeah.
Yeah, but you know more about music than she does. So
that is true.
It all balances.
That is true.
But no, I'm good with ice cream or custard.
Posh custard does taste like a gooey version of ice cream, to be fair.
Fair enough.
Bird's
Do you remember
custard.
mint custard at school?
Mint?
Mint custard at school?
Ugh.
Yes.
Yeah, we never had mint.
I never had it, but yeah, I remember it
It
existing.
was rank.
They used to have this really weird, like, copper jug that they used to pour it out of as well.
Yes,
when I was in
those.
the first school.
Mint custard. I don't think anyone who grew up probably from the 90s upwards would have had mint custard because it was horrible. But it was like a school canteen staple. You'd have something nice and then be serving it with fucking mint custard.
When I was in the first school, it was in the mid to late 80s. They used to do I think it was like a lime mousse, and they used to call it Ghostbuster slime, and that was everyone's favourite because it was Ghostbuster slime.
It's amazing how branding the shittest things can make them the best, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was at school, we used to have this pudding called Wellington Fudge, and I don't know anybody apart from people in Grimsby that remember this pudding, but it was basically just like a standard chocolate sponge, but then it had this jet black kind of fudgy chocolatey like sauce that went over the top, and it was absolutely delicious. And I can still, to this day, remember what it tasted like. And again, with a bit of shit school custard, it was the best thing ever. But I have never had it since I was probably 12 years old, but I can still remember that flavour, and it's something that I just wish we could have again. But in Grimsby, we've also got this really weird thing that, again, a lot of people from even the bigger cities have never heard of, but we have cakeaways that just sell school puddings.
Okay. So like
Really?
chocolate concrete and stuff.
Yes, chocolate concrete, chocolate oat cake, school crumble. And so if I wanted to right now, I could order one on my phone and it would turn up with custard and everything within like half an hour.
I mean, cakeaways are a good thing, but I'm not so sure I don't think I want mint fucking custard.
Well, they do not serve mint custard. You can get strawberry and chocolate custard.
Chocolate custard sounds rank.
Is it entirely staffed
Chocolate
by
custard's
old?
gross. It doesn't taste like chocolate.
But is it entirely staffed by old dinner ladies?
Well,
'Cause it should be.
I'd like to think so, yeah.
My nan was a dinner lady.
The dinner ladies in my first school were ace, because I used to be way shorter than everyone else. I had like sort of growth deficiency when I was a really little kid. So I used to have to come round the side of the counter, and they used to feed me extra. It was awesome.
Because you were a growing lad.
Because I was a midget, basically. They're like, oh, we'll give Colin extra food. Thank you very much. Because I couldn't even reach over the counter.
Adorable.
Well, my internet died for that whole conversation, so I'm going to enjoy listening to that anecdote when I listen back in the edit. Oh, God,
Brilliant.
you should see my room right now, listeners. I've got, like... Skype just decided it's not going to work on my laptop today since I did an update, so I've got my headset plugged into my phone, which is then plugged into the mains. I've got my laptop whirring away like nobody's business. My whole rig is just falling to pieces. Anyway, so yeah, important question with your crumble, Colin, because I have been to so many posh restaurants that have tried their best to make an upmarket crumble by adding weird shit to the crumble topping. Are you going to be adding anything other than salted caramel, or is it just a straight, traditional crumble topping?
Pretty traditional, to be honest, just like the salted caramel sauce bits in there. So the crumble bit would be just like brown sugar and butter and a bit of flour, I think. It's ages since I've made it.
The amount of places that put like nuts and things like that, like almonds and things into the crumble topping, and I always think it detracts from the taste of a crumble. Like there's certain things that can be heightened, but a crumble is a crumble. Yeah,
definitely.
I think.
Yeah.
All right.
Don't be messing with it.
So, Mark, what are you bringing to the menu?
Okay, so from the main course, I nicked from Kenon. My dessert, I've nicked from Nigella. I bought How to Be a Domestic Goddess when I went to university, and I couldn't believe it when I saw that this recipe was a real thing. So obviously I had to make it, and it was fucking lovely. So I've made it ever since. I just love it, and I make it quite regularly. It's like, you go to someone's house and you turn up with a dessert. I'll say I'll do a dessert, but I don't tell them what it is, and I ask them what the secret ingredient is. And people get it. People get the secret ingredient. It's a Coca-Cola chocolate cake.
Oh.
It's like the tiniest amount of Coca-Cola, but it's in both the icing and the sponge cake itself. You know where you'd normally put water in, you use half water, half Coca-Cola. And it just makes it a little bit jazzy. So it's a really nice... sponge, soft, kind of squidgy, spongy base. It's a chocolate cake, but it just tastes just a smidge little bit about Coca-Cola. But it's the icing that really tastes like Coca-Cola. You mix it in with the icing sugar instead of water, and it's lovely. And now this is the bit that I created, so it's not all Nigella. I felt like it just didn't look like a fate cake. You know how, like, you see these old dears who really decorate their cakes at a fete?
Yeah.
I felt that my cake was as good as one of their cakes, but didn't quite have the look I was like, what the fuck can I do? So what I did was I crushed up a packet of hobnobs. And so a packet of chocolate hobnobs into the Coca-Cola icing. And it looks like a fake cake. It looks right as well as tastes right. And so, yeah, my partner recently bought a posh pestle and mortar for me. So I'm going to make this. And I'm going to make a point of using the pestle and mortar to crush hobnobs because I can.
I don't quite think that's what it's for, mate.
Don't care. It's going to be great.
It's a posh hobnob crusher.
It is. But it sounds weird, but it doesn't sound weird in a way that I think would put people off. It sounds weird in I'll give that a go. And then when you do give it a go, it is just like, it's like a chocolate Coke, but just a little bit better, unless you don't like Coke.
Look, don't worry about it being too weird, mate. Did you hear Colin's main course?
Like I say, I made it mine by making it look like a cake you would get from a fete. Also, I ignored you, and I also decided that anyone can have a coffee they want, but at Mark's restaurant, you get an amaretti on the rocks and a fortune cookie.
So you're adding this to as part of your dessert then, are you?
Fuck it, yeah.
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
So a slice of Coca-Cola chocolate cake with a fortune cookie, an amaretti on the rocks, and you can have ice cream or cream. You're not having custard with my masterpiece. Fuck off.
Right, in that case, I'm going to add at the end of mine, you can have a Pop-Tart and a Jaffa cake.
What flavour Pop-Tart?
I always like the chocolate one best, I reckon.
That's cheating. You can't add halfway through.
Can when you fucking added things.
Yeah.
But I planned it. You've just done it on the hoo.
It was part of your plan.
That's not allowed. Tim, tell him. Tim, tell him.
Look, we've already opened up the argument, so fight. Go for it.
Mine's best. It's got fucking hobnobs made with a fucking pestle and mortar. I win.
It's got no salted caramel though, has it?
Doesn't need it. It's got Coca-Cola.
Everything needs salted caramel.
No, it doesn't. Salted caramel's alright. No. And anyway, you haven't got a fortune cookie?
No, I've got a fucking
You won't be
Pop-Tart
able
and a
to get
Jaffa
like a
cake.
weird-ass little motto.
So we've reached the end. I will read back your menus to you. So,
Good luck.
So, Colin has gone for his starter. He's gone for a San Francisco style seafood chowder made by his own two hands, served possibly in a mini bread bowl or not, who knows, with bread on the side at least. He has then, for his main dish, gone for the meal, which is his assumption of what a gumbo should be, with Cajun prawns, noodles, feta, veggies served in a pita bread. And then for his dessert, he's gone for a salted caramel apple crumble, ideally served with ice cream, but he will let you have it with custard and cream if you're feeling like a heathen. Then then Mark's menu. For his starter, he's also gone for a soup, but instead it's a spicy gazpacho served with his own homemade garlic and herb croutons. Then for his main course, it's his
And a deviled egg.
deviled egg.
And a deviled egg.
No, that was the decider at the end. If we're in a tie break, then for the main course, he's gone for his special fried rice that he learnt from good old Ken Hom, with vegan fake chicken served with prawn toast and shredded seaweed. And his dessert is Nigella's Coca-Cola chocolate cake with a crumbled up hobnob garnish. So, okay.
And a fortune cookie.
And a fortune cookie. Sorry, let me just add that.
And a Pop-Tart and a Jaffa cake on mine.
Yeah, sorry, I did put that, yeah. A chocolate Pop-Tart plus Jaffa cake. So, okay.
You get booze with mine, Tim.
Oh, yes, I forgot that.
Yeah, you get booze.
I didn't drink,
You get
so I didn't
actual
think of that.
booze. Yeah,
I'm assuming that, people can choose their own drinks as well.
Yeah.
So, okay. I said earlier, I'm not a massive fan of soup as a starter. To be fair, I prefer it as a starter to a main course. Main courses of soup are just far too much liquid for me, and they always sit weird in my stomach. So I can just about manage with a starter, but it's quite tough choice between the two.
Are you nervous, Colin? I'm actually a little bit nervous now. I didn't think I'd get competitive, but I'm like, if he picks Colin, the fucking Shipwrecked and Comatose is over.
Okay, so yeah. I think, personally, just, if I would go for maybe a lighter soup as it's my starter. So seafood chowder could be a bit too heavy at this point. And of Mark's croutons are a bit of a clincher on that, because I do love a good crouton, especially if they're homemade. When we're looking at these main courses, Mark's got authenticity going for him. There's a consistency to that meal. It's very traditional, apart from the vegan fake chicken perhaps. But Colin, it's also a point for Colin that his main course is unique and something that could potentially bring food tourists to my restaurant, knowing
He's
that
right.
we have something that they can't get anywhere else on the planet. So that's something that you've got to take into consideration for this choice.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Colin, you've gone double prawn. So I don't know.
I was tempted to go triple prawn, but it wouldn't really go with the crumble.
No, not really.
Yeah, that's true. I made a good mix. Mine's much more balanced.
But then as well, I really like that Colin's starter, obviously the chowder, it comes with a story. He's had it from it reminds him of a time and a place, San Francisco, on his holiday. That's I love when food has that kind of journey and that story to it as well.
Yeah.
I had sex with Ken Hobb. I didn't, but if I did, would that have clinched it?
It could only have helped. Then, as I say, desserts. I am absolutely a dessert nut. I love my desserts, and I always say that you can't mess too much with a crumble, but salted caramel is only going to benefit that crumble. I agree with you there, Colin. I agree that ice cream is the ultimate side to be having with your crumble. Mark's Nigella Coca-Cola chocolate cake. Here we go. Here is the big curveball for everybody. Despite being one of the biggest chocoholics on the planet, I usually hate a chocolate dessert. I feel like by the time, if I'm in a restaurant, by the time I'm absolutely stuffed with my starter and my main course, I think chocolate is just too much half the time. And I always think that it's too rich when I've had all these other things. It's so rare that I would pick a chocolate dessert. But there's Coca-Cola in it, one of the best drinks in the world. It's got a hobnob. It's got booze. So I am really torn by these two menus. This is so close.
It's definitely the closest one yet that you've had to deal with, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, this is definitely the closest one yet. Oh, God. Deviled egg on the side. Colin, do you have potentially an amuse-bouche to kick things off if we were to go into tiebreaker? Which I think we kind of are.
I had not thought of one. See, this is the problem. When I have to think of things like this, my brain is going...
Putting you on the spot.
My brain is just going, chilled monkey brains, like out of Indiana Jones. But that would not be a good thing to serve at a restaurant. People wouldn't like that.
Winner, fake chicken dinner.
It's like when I went on Mark's Life's Milestones and he was like, think of a happy childhood memory. And I thought about the time I found a dead cat. My brain does weird things.
So what you're saying is you've completely failed and you can't think of anything.
Or that he's serving dead cat and monkey brains.
Fuck it, chilled monkey brains. Yeah, they're delicious.
Okay. Oh, right.
If I win, even though there's chilled monkey brains now.
Yeah.
You made it difficult on yourself.
Yeah.
You did, Tim. You could have, picked a main course and you could have, picked your two from each of the different courses, but now you made it difficult for yourself. This is your fault.
I like the turmoil between having to pick one full menu. I think it makes for better podcasting. I think it's going to lead to better arguments. But here we go. Here's the thing. There is no better dessert on the planet than an apple crumble. Colin Jackson Brown, you have won the first round of We Ate This. We will take the amuse-bouche off the table because I am not serving monkey brains. Honestly, this was so close, but the dessert clinched it, as I'm sure this is going to happen a lot on this podcast. So the very first, congratulations, by the way, Colin, well done. So the first,
thank you.
The first meal that is going on our menu of menus is Colin's San Francisco seafood chowder, followed by the meal, which is his version of gumbo, not gumbo.
I found out what gumbo was later on.
Have you actually made a proper gumbo?
No, it doesn't sound as nice as the meal.
Fair enough. And then salted caramel apple crumble with ice cream, a Pop-Tart and a Jaffa cake. Congratulations, Colin. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Mark, do you have anything to say?
To be honest, I would totally eat what Colin put in front of me. So, I can... I still think I was robbed, but I think Colin was pretty good. Yeah, we had a good fight.
So after lockdown, when Colin's going to make us the meal, Mark, are you bringing the soup and I'm making the dessert?
All right.
Yeah, brilliant.
Got to find
sounds like a good
somewhere in the middle of Manchester, Grimsby, and Birmingham. Nottingham.
Right. Do you have any last final words, Colin? Now that you've won, who've you got to thank?
Well, myself, because I came up with it all.
See, I've already been graceful and thanked Ken Om and Nigel.
Yeah, but that's because I thought of mine myself rather than getting it out of cookbooks. Tell you what, I'm proper fucking hungry now.
Me too.
Me too.
Okay. Thank you so much, guys, for helping us out on this pilot. If any of you out there are listening, that must mean that our head of the network really enjoyed it. So I can only thank these two for making it happen. Mark, where can people find you on the internet?
My Twitter is @MarkAdamsHC. That stands for Humanist Celebrant because that is my job. And I'm on various podcasts on the We Made This Podcast network. @Life's Milestones, which is my Celebrant podcast. @Pull or Pass, which is my comic book podcast. @Writing the Childhood, which is my children's TV podcast. And @Shipwrecked Comatose, which is cancelled.
Fair.
Okay, and Colin, where can people find you?
Right, so Mark's already said Shipwrecked and Comatose. You'll obviously just have to listen to the old episodes of that, apparently, now. I'm also on two other podcasts. I'm on Free With This Month's Issue, which is my podcast where we listen to old magazine CDs from Kerrang and that kind of thing, which you can find on Twitter @This Month's Issue. My other podcast is We Dig Music, which you can find on @We Dig Music Podcast on Twitter. You can find it's all on the We Made This network, and also you can find all of my podcasts on wedigpodcasts.com, where I collect them all.
Cool. I've just realised that since this is a pilot, I've literally no idea what all of our social media handles will be, but I'll definitely have them for the next one. You can find me on Twitter @TimblesRH, and my other podcast, We Played This, where we discuss guests' favourite video games, is on @WePlayedThisPod on Instagram and Twitter. So again, thanks guys for joining us, and that's it. Thank you and goodbye.
Thanks, that was fun. Bye.
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 You suck, Colin.
I really enjoyed that.
Hello everyone, this is Tony, Network Chief of We Made This. As you know, our podcast network brings together a brilliant assortment of talent who talk about all kinds of pop culture content, such as the episode you've just listened to. We're not going anywhere, but we'd love to keep the lights on for even longer if you're able to support our network on Patreon. For just £2 a month, you get your name in lights and the satisfaction of knowing you're helping us produce more great audio. And for £3 a month, you'll get your name in lights, but you'll also get access to an exclusive bi-monthly podcast from the We Made This talent pool on podcasting, pop culture, and, well, you tell us. We'll take your suggestions. For less than the price of a coffee per month, you can help keep We Made This going. Just head to patreon.com/We Made This. That's patreon.com/We Made This. And get the ball rolling.
Shipwrecked and Comatose, a Red Dwarf podcast, was created and produced by Mark Adams and Kurt North. You can find us on Twitter at Red Dwarf Pod, and we are part of the We Made This podcast network, which can be found online at wemadethispod.com or on Twitter at We Made This Pod.
Elsewhere on We Made This.
Right in the childhood.
Obviously, because of the inclusion of Firestar and Iceman, all the bets are off because they weren't friends in the comic books.
No, it was bizarre. Like Spidey and Iceman have become friends, and I wonder if they've become friends because of the show, or
maybe
vice versa. But yeah, and we did notice a lot. Firestar was basically just Human Torch. They could have just Jenny Storm.
She really did.
Although
really did just have the Human Torch.
I did get my hopes. I heard the last name Jones.
Pick a disc.
Evermore I've not listened to. There's a special that's on Disney Plus actually, which I think is her playing folklore, which I might watch.
It's so good. It made me appreciate. I said after I watched that, I was like, every album, I don't care who releases it, every album needs something like this to accompany it, because I think it adds so many layers to an album when you get to hear the artist specifically talk about why they wrote the song, and the producers are in the same room, like talking about the process. It just makes the album that much better. So that's a requirement now. Every album that comes out needs a documentary.
Frame to frame.
I just want to say, I really love your philosophy about no matter how good or bad a movie is, there's a lot of effort that goes into it. I really like that philosophy, because I find myself grappling with that. It's kind of like it's really easy to tear something down because the finished product that comes out in the cinema or on streaming is nominally bad, but it has actually had a fair amount of effort that went into it, regardless of how that's translated.
I mean, Cats is a really good example of that, actually. If you actually look into the story of the visual effects on Cats, and how it was literally the day before release, the visual effects team was still working on that movie.
Check out all of these shows and more on the We Made This podcast network.